Is the zero-click apocalypse over? A new study shows that there are early signs of click-through rate recovery with Google AI Overviews. Let's dive in. Okay, so there's this fascinating article on Search Engine Land, which dives into click-through rate numbers from AI overviews. So organic click-through rates on Google searches where an AI overview is triggered. So first of all, what does that mean? So when we're in Google, you will have seen this. We are probably in a weird transitional phase between where the Google AI overviews or Google AI mode becomes the standard and a period of time where it's being rolled out across queries. Google almost certainly would prefer to never have to release any form of Google AI overview or AI mode because it is hugely detrimental to their earning strategy. They made money from 10 blue links on page one with sponsored links and people paying, huge amounts to be in those sponsored spots. So this changes the whole paradigm of their earnings. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
They will 100% start adding ads to AI overviews and AI mode.
Yeah, they will, but it's how that's going to look and whether or not those ads will earn them as much money as their existing ad model. But it's to be seen. We will wait and see. But what's interesting is when we first started to get these triggered AI overviews, reports of click-through rates massively diminishing. And this makes sense when you can be given a piece of information without having to go to the website. And you would see this on sort of evergreen topic searches, but all the way through to things like commerce and product recommendations, depending on whether or not the AI overview is triggered or not. If I was asking what's the best email management tool, and the AI overview told me three tools, that top ranking post that the AI overview was pulling that information from was a tech review website that had produced a listicle. But instead of me then clicking through to that listicle to read that content from that tech review website, I just looked at the AI overview, saw the top 1, 2, 3 recommendations and went and just did like a branded search in Google to go direct to that website. You can see how easily that click-through rate would have fallen to what seemingly looked like it was going to be going to zero. We were approaching the zero-click era of search. Okay, so as this table can show us here, this here is the organic click-through rate when the AI overview was shown. So you can see we bottomed out here November 2025, so the tail end of last year at 1.3%. This was the lowest it had been, since the history of Google. This period looks more closely at the AI overview period. So we had this huge race to the bottom at 1.3%. And then finally, it looks as if it's turning a corner December 2025, January, and then February 2026 at 2.4%. So we've seen that steady rise. Similar pattern here when the AI overview is not shown. And then a similar pattern as again for the paid click-through rate. So that's paid ads, how much people are clicking through on the paid ads if the AI overview is not shown, and then the same when the AI overview is shown. So why could this be happening? Initial thoughts, my opinion is people are getting used to this new interaction with the way that Google looks and feels. When AI overviews first triggered for me, I remember thinking, God, this is completely different and it would completely change my experience of using Google. It would sort of pop up and float and then take space. You'd then have to scroll down. It's almost like ad fatigue now, I think. I've become completely used to it. If I want to ignore it, I just go past it. If I want to interact with links like I used to, I'd click through. If I want to see the sources that the overviews pulled from, I know how to get to the sources. I also know how to click through to those source websites. Do you think that's a fair assessment of potentially why click rates are going up, Nick?
Yeah, I think so. But I think also as this rolls out to more and more categories of searches, it will have different impacts. First, it's going to go to the most obvious things like this. It was the same thing with featured snippets, right? It was like there used to be websites that would tell you what time it was in any city, right? And you could search that and you had to click into a website. And then a featured snippet came out and you could say, what time is it in Dubai right now? And it would tell you. And it was the same case with a lot of really easy to pull information. where you didn't need to go to a website. And so I think that's partially at least what's happening here. As it rolls out to more and more, it gets to the easy stuff. An AI overview makes sense for a lot of simple queries, right? Or a lot of simple searches on Google.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get to something more complicated, let's say you're typing in like this tool versus this tool, and it gives you an AI overview. Great, that might be a good starting point. But if you're actually considering that tool, and this is going to be something that you either spend a couple $100s per month on, or it's a considerable time investment to move into this tool, you're not going to rely on the AI overview. You're going to jump down and you're going to explore the sources. Maybe you explore the sources that you see in the AI overview. Maybe you want to go down and see who actually ranks. I think a lot of people still have trust in the high ranking sites, right? Like those sites had to do something to earn that trust with Google. And so Google's been around long enough that they do still have credit for, like, this is a trustworthy site. It shows up. So anytime I think you want to do more research, that's probably when you'll see people go past that and click one of the blue links. And as the AI overviews expand to more and more searches, that I would expect to see that continue to go up, really.
Yeah. And I think this is a really, really good interpretation of the data from Danny Goodwin here on Search Engine Land. Data is from SEER. They studied 53 bands, 5.47 million queries, and just under 2.5 billion impressions between January 2025 and February 2026. And I think these key takeaways here are really important and spot on. So searches without AI overviews are getting more valuable. And the click-through rate on those queries increased. So a reason for this is that AI overviews, like you said, Nick, handles those quick answers. What is the time in Porto? Who is the manager of Manchester United Football Club? But the user that wants to click through for more is far more valuable. And then what you said as well, Nick, the AI overviews vary significantly depending on the intent. They show up much, much more frequently for informational queries, far less frequently for transactional queries, massively for comparison queries, and a lot for question-based queries as well. And so I think the main takeaway, which I really like here, is why do we care about this? So if we're in the AI discoverability space, then Google AI overviews aren't just reducing clicks, they are redistributing them, sending more traffic to sites they cite and far less to those they don't. So that means we need to be getting featured in AI overviews and also focus more on searches where people click. So that actually creates an interesting dynamic to the strategy where it isn't just about focusing on sort of those top level metrics of Search Console or analytics. You know, how often are we appearing, or diving into Ahrefs or some of these AI discoverability tools? We also need to take into account the value of the clicks that we want to get as well.
Yeah, 100%.